Kingsport MTPO executive board meeting in session. That's a mouthful. I'm ask Leslie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Chase Milner is moderating a panel at the Drive Electric Tennessee Momentum Summit in Murfreesboro. So he has made Michael Thompson his proxy for today's meeting. Mayor DeWitt is at a budget workshop. So other than that, we have Chairman Paul Montgomery.
Here.
Jimmy Adkins.
Here.
Blake Ayler.
Here.
Troy Everett.
Here.
Michael Thompson.
Here.
Amber Torbett.
Here.
And then Hawkins County Churchill Mount Carmel rep is absent.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this point in time of our meeting, we offer time for those of you who have a comment to make about items on our agenda or items pertaining to MTPO. It's your time to speak, and we'll give you 5 minutes if you so desire to speak. Seeing everybody rushing to raise their hand, I'll close this out. No public comment. Thank you very much. You have before you the February 8th board meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Next item is number 4. The fiscal 24-25 amendment number 1. Leslie.
Okay, so you all know the current UPWP covers fiscal year 24 and 25. TDOT recognizes a 2-year UPWP, whereas VDOT only recognizes 1 year at a time. So this amendment is updating the fiscal year 25 portion for Virginia, which is mainly the budget. There was a few wording things in there, but the big thing is the budget, which will start July 1. This does take into account the increase in PL funds and the change in the split with Lennowisco and Kingsport MTPO, which we're still working on that agreement and waiting on getting it back from the city attorney to send it to Lennowisco and VDOT for their final approval before it's taken to the board of mayor and aldermen. But this bottom table, nothing changed on the Tennessee side. The bottom table is what has changed, just programming the fiscal year 25 PL funds. And remember, we opted out of the Virginia 5303 because it was such a small amount.
Okay, anyone have any questions of Leslie?
I have a comment.
Okay,
Leslie is awesome. She's done a lot of work on this last year and this update this year. Could be more. We're proud and happy. Good job.
Thank you.
any other comment? Thank you, Leslie. I'll
Make that motion to approve the Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
okay, if the motions are second.
Second.
So the motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment number 1, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Amendment is adopted. Let's move to item number 5, amendment number 2. Leslie.
Okay, so the City of Kingsport Main Street project was obligated under the previous TIP, which was the fiscal year 20 through 23 TIP. Normally in these instances, when there's overruns, we don't have to do anything with the TIP because they just take it where it was programmed in the previous TIP. It's not in the current TIP. However, we got approval to use carbon reduction program funds on this project, and they were not programmed in the previous TIP. So because it's a new funding source, I'm having to add the Main Street project to the current TIP, program those carbon reduction, and what we've programmed in fiscal year 24 is actually our 22, 23, and 24 funds. We're expecting construction to still take at least another year. So I went ahead and programmed the 25 funds as well. And just to be proactive, because I'm afraid if I don't put some STBG funds in there, I'm afraid they'll come back and say, well, you don't have STBG funds on this project now. I'm adding STBG funds. So hopefully, if we have any other changes, it would just be a modification instead of another amendment to come to the board. And as you know, TIP amendments require board approval. And also as part of that process, you're certifying that the metropolitan planning process has been followed and all regulations as identified in 23 CFR 453-336 have been followed.
Okay, anyone have any questions of Leslie? for the tip amendment number 2? Seeing none, I have a motion for approval.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Pose like sign. Tip amendment number 2 is passed. Let's move to item 6. Tip amendment number 3. Leslie.
Okay, this one is going to be a little lengthier. So tip amendments require a 10-day public review period as stated in our public participation plan. Federal regulations just say adequate notice and, you have to give plenty of time. We define the 10 days. So this agenda was sent on April 29th because we had the UPWP amendment plus the tip amendment, which is the 10-day notice for today's meeting, not counting today. On April 30th, we got a tip amendment from VDOT. I responded that it didn't meet the 10-day notice. Central office said to go ahead and add it. May 1st, I sent the revised agenda that you all got. May 2nd, they said, pull it. I said, I'm not going to send another agenda. We'll just pull it at the meeting. Well, since then, I've had many conversations with Samantha and Blake. Blake talked to Federal Highway Virginia yesterday and got approval to go ahead and vote on it. So it would be approved if you all approve it, and then have the 10-day public review period after. So we've actually had it out for 8 days, but we're going to go ahead, as Federal Highway Virginia said, you all take action on it today. If it's approved, we'll go ahead and do a 10-day public review period. As long as there's no comments, our city attorney said no adverse comments, then it will be adopted at the close of the public review period. And so I've reflected that in the resolution, the public review period and everything. All you're doing is adding funds to a grouping, and we don't even know what portion of those funds will be spent in the Kingsport area. So, it may not have even risen to the level of an amendment anyway, but they're adding $9.5 million to their maintenance grouping for preventive maintenance and system preservation. So just to cover our bases and hopefully not have to come back and have a called meeting for one item, they have allowed us to do it this way. If we get any adverse comments that need to be addressed, then we will have to have a called meeting before the end of June because their fiscal year ends June 30th.
Good explanation. Any questions?
And we've had no comments or no.
We've had no comments, period. And so the motion will be to approve the tip amendment number 3 with official adoption contingent on the 10-day public review period.
Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All
I'll
in
just
favor?
add that in Bristol MPO this morning, we had the same action item and we approved it with the
Okay.
same policy.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Tip amendment number 3 is passed. Let's move on to item number 7. Junior functional classification update. Leslie.
Okay, so as part of the 10-year decennial census, VDOT is conducting a major statewide update to the federal functional classifications in Virginia. Some of the MPOs are asking for more time, maybe, but we have a handful of functionally classified roads, as you see, in our area. So I feel pretty confident that we're okay to proceed. They want this done by the end of July, but some of the larger MPOs that have a more extensive network are, questioning the timing. So, but like I said, we only have East Carter Valley Road, US 23, Yuma Road. I mean, just a handful of roads that are actually functionally classified. So I feel confident. VDOT staff reviewed it. We've reviewed it. And so at the conclusion of the process, they had asked to do a resolution to document VDOT's cooperation with local officials. And there wasn't any changes from the last time either. So
Jimmy, you guys all for this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay.
There we go, Mr. Chairman. I'd like a motion to approve the junior functional classification update. I guess it's a resolution as presented.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Amendment is adopted. And let's move to item number 8. Federal State Partners. Leslie.
well, We have Federal Highway on the call, but
Can you promote them?
I can't promote since I'm not the host and Michael can't see them, so I don't know. We're having technical issues today. But let's go ahead and start with the transit agencies. So Candace, Shearer, yeah, if you want to come up here.
Hello. In the world of cats, in no particular order here, I've listed some things going on. We have 5 vehicles that we have contracts for, so we're looking forward to that. We have our rodeo coming up. We will be doing it different this year. We're going to be doing it on site, and we're focusing more on training. It still is a competition, but we're really going to be focused in on training for the rodeo this year. And that will be first week of June. Next week for Dial-A-Ride, our van service, we are having a promotion of half price tickets. And so that's a popular thing. And we used to do that the full month of November, but we have broken that up. So we'll be doing a week in May, a week in July, and then 2 weeks in November to give people more of a chance to save up for that. So we'll be participating in Public Works, the Public Works Day on May the 24th. And then lastly, we hosted a DBE meeting. Johnson City Transit and CATS hosted a DBE meeting at Johnson City Transit last month. It was really successful. NetTrans reps were there, airport representative was there, and then we had 2 vendors that showed up out of Knoxville that were DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and I think we had 16 in attendance, so it was a really successful meeting. So I always like how, if we're able to get with other agencies and do meetings like that, that makes them very successful. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Kim, do you have anything for NetTrans? Matt, I have you at a table tent up here.
With NetTrans right now, it's like Ken said, in no particular order or anything like that. But we just completed our maintenance facility parking lot. That's been kind of ongoing for the last couple of months, but finally got that taken care of. We just now purchased 9 new vehicles to provide service. And we're working on getting 5 electric vehicles to provide service in the Johnson City area. And we got our rodeo upcoming. That's basically about it. Does anybody have any questions for me or concerns?
I had left Candace a voicemail this morning. She may not have even gotten it yet, but
Sure.
During the Alderman Forum, an issue came up. One of the Sullivan County commissioners had asked the question about transit service to the VA.
Okay,
And was talking about, CATS doesn't go there.
right.
But NetTrans was not brought up. So I started looking, and Michael and I were talking about it this morning, and it looks like, okay, if somebody wanted to go from Kingsport City to the VA, you're going from Kingsport City to Johnson City.
Sure.
That's allowable. And from what I've gathered, because I went through the whole schedule a ride without actually scheduling it to see what the rate was, and it said
Right.
$6 one way. I used this address
Okay.
to the VA. So $6 one way trip. So I mean, that's an option, for people that haven't thought about
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
But do you know if is there any kind of contract with the VA that you guys have? Like, is there discounted rates, or does the VA cover anything? Or
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. I'd have to look into it and get you some more
Yeah.
figures.
and I was wondering, if y'all do those trips now, and like,
Yeah,
how many?
we do. Like I said, once again, I don't have the figures on me on that. I can dig into that and find out for sure and let you know.
Yeah, that'd be
But we do
great.
provide that service, the ambulatory service door to door.
You just can't pick up within one city limit and deliver within that same city limit.
Right, that is correct.
Okay. That's good to know.
I think what you researched is like since 2021, when y'all started getting 5307 funds, that
Sure.
opened that up for you to be able to do that, right?
Right, as far, right.
Be able to do it, yeah.
Yeah. So I've left
Well,
Candace a
we
message.
wanna make
but-
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just this morning, so she may not have even gotten it yet.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Chris, you got anything from the airport?
The airport's currently in development of a master plan. For those that don't know, a master plan for the airport, FAA required, forecast out 10, 15, 20 years infrastructure rate. We just got our forecast approved, which the FAA approves the forecast, shows our future passenger numbers, future takeoff landings and everything. And we use that to kind of craft the rest of the plan, which is what we call the alternative developments. Might show where a terminal extension might go, might show where we might build a new runway or taxiway. We're going to have a public review meeting for that. I believe it's in the first week or two of July. Around then, you should start seeing some press notifications come out with a location and time for that. But I encourage everyone here to come. We take that feedback, we incorporate into it. We don't want any bad ideas since it's not our airport, it's the community's airport as well. So that's really what we got going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So online, we have Rhonda with TDOT, Stacy with TDOT, Tracy Widener with TDOT, and Zach Coleman with Federal Highway, but Michael cannot see the attendees to promote them to give updates. So I have asked them to just send them in the chat. Federal Highway usually has some updates and they usually send links to all their stuff anyway, so I can distribute that. VDOT, is there anything?
So right now, I don't have anything. I'm gonna ask Samantha if she'd like to come up. She's got an update on a couple of projects that we have in the case.
Okay.
So Gate City has a few funded projects, one HSHIP, 3 transportation alternatives. I have updates for UPC 113765, which is Manville Road sidewalk, which was HSHIP funded. They are currently waiting on 30% plans, and that will, so they can close scope and set the schedule for the remainder of the project. And the same goes for UPC 121022 Kane Street sidewalk, which was a transportation alternatives funded project. So both are set, both are going well. They're just waiting on 30% plans so that they can set the rest of the schedule. That's my update. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing else from VDOT?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, TDOT.
The federal highway update that he gave this morning, I'll go ahead and give that for him. They have announced an active transportation infrastructure investment program. ATIP, we're gonna try. It's another bill grant. It's available to cities, MPOs, and DOTs. At first glance, this is like the SS4A grant, but it differs that DOTs are included as the eligible applicants. $2.5 million for SS4A implementation, and ATIP has 15 million for construction. So alternative transportation options, there's money out there. So that's the federal highway update. Our update is from TDOT. Multimodal access grant is open. You have to submit a notice of intent or letter of intent by May 13th. So you got a couple days. After that, if you are accepted, then you'll go through the full application process. All that information is on the multimodal website. The traffic signal modernization program is currently open as well. Those applications are due June 5th. And same thing, there's a one-pager and information on all that on our traffic signal modernization project. Those projects can go through, they can update your signals if you have aging signals. As long as you're looking at crash reduction or timing increases or detection updates, stuff like that, they'll be eligible. A couple things that you all need to be aware of and take with a grain of salt on this. Our resurfacing list is published. 3-year resurfacing list is out, 24 through 26. It was published March-ish, February is approved. The current one, with, as you all have dealt with the railroad before, that first year we have to definitely take with a little grain of salt on what's flexible and what's not. Most of that's going to be done, but as we're dealing with railroads and having to get the, the right to be within their air world, if we have an issue, that'll bump to the next year. So Randy Bustler and Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson is now a resurfacing coordinator, works for Randy. Randy's still heavily involved, so feel free to reach out to them for updates. the interstates that are published on there, those are solid. Those are going to be carried forward as published. But the bridge plan is out there, on system, off system stuff is out there as well. Shouldn't see a lot of changes in that one. As far as project updates, y'all asked for a few, which we have our PD folks here, and I'm not putting them on the spot with these, but we have them. But we also have our construction, and Steve Borden is here, which is our director as well. So if I say anything incorrect, feel free to jump up and say he's wrong. So there were a couple updates specifically to be requested. So Fort Robinson, it's always a nice topic about our bridge. Last thing we looked on that was going for fiscal year 26. That means we'll be, or it's when it's budgeted, it'll go through, be let. So construction will be sometime in 27 is what we're actually looking at. So if we say fiscal year 26 or 25, then we're looking at the next year before we actually turn dirt. Okay. Because it's the federal fiscal year. So it's getting in the end of the year. Memorial Boulevard, fiscal year 25 for construction. That means in 2026 is when we'll actually be out there breaking stuff. We have been tearing down several structures out there. I don't know if you've seen that, and we're tearing those down. If there's basements, we're filling them in, making the site safe. We still have a few left to do, but we've taken several down in the city limits up on the I guess the further out section near Harbor Chapel. Several of those buildings are now gone. We still just have one or two we need to take care of out there. And
So right-of-way acquisitions complete.
right-of-way acquisition, I'll have to double check to make sure right-of-way is complete, but I think it's not. Nope, they're shaking their head no. We still have a couple holdouts. It's mostly done.
Start with the hard ones. The complete things first. I think it's the easy stuff.
State Route 36, that was an update, Fort Henry Drive. We're talking from the interstate out to I-70 or to State Route 75. What we have on that one and what actually been completed on that one versus, of course, it's not in the 10-year plan. So we're going to come back and have discussions about that here before too long. We have what has been completed basically onto that is we've gone out, we've had some survey work on it. We know the general area of where it's going to be put. So we have our area of study when it comes down to the environmental side. That's basically it. We have an alignment. It's a wide swath of an alignment of where that road's going to end up going.
So for a question.
Mhm.
So why is the Washington County side done and Sullivan County side? I guess that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. It's the.
And why is Sullivan County side not, why didn't they not just go through the whole project to 81?
So I'm sure it's like with most of our projects and we have to break these up into chunks that we can work. So that project, I believe, was around $11 million a mile. It was around $50 million job for the Johnson City side. So when we were, I don't know why it came before this side. That I don't know. But I know that instead of doing the entire project whole, it's more of, well, a $50 million pill is easier to swallow than a $100 million pill on trying to get something constructed and work through, and then the deliverability on that. But why it was selected in that order, that's before me. I don't know if you guys have any ideas. Yes, sir.
Johnson City, prioritize State Route 36, and so this NPO is not prioritized 36.
And that was,
Prioritize.
yeah, 126 has always been our top priority here.
Okay.
Well, and I will argue with that because yes, it's not been our top priority because State Route 126 has been so much further along in the process. The MPO decision, according to TDOT's own visual, counts for 11.8% of your decision of which projects to implement. Regardless of ranking, it's an Improve Act project that went through the Improve Act legislation in 2017, so we expected it to be done.
When did 36? I mean, it was completed 10 years ago
Oh,
or
yeah.
more, right? It's been a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah. The Johnson City side, it's been done for at least 10 years, hasn't it? Yeah. So this goes, and then of course, 126, we've been working on that for quite a while as
So
well.
that brings up another point. Is what is TDOT's commitment to completing Improve Act projects?
Well,
Whoever wants to take it.
I'll kick it off for you.
Because
On up to the table. Give them a mic.
as y'all know, when Improve Act was done in legislative.
Right.
There was a commitment on time, and I understand prices post-COVID have changed and everything,
Yeah.
but we've not really heard that new commitment.
So the commitment is they, well, I feel like I make it on bad.
Hot.
There we go. Now, so the commitment is they're still on the books. It's projects that we want to partner with everybody to do, and they will get done at some time. But as we've been talking about the 10-year plan, right, it identified 93 projects out of 900 to be done. There's a lot of backstory there, right? I mean, when TDOT asked for Improve Act, through the Improve Act for funding, additional funding in the gas tax, we asked for 12 cents on the gallon. We asked for indexing, and the projects would be listed, would be done with that money. The legislature ended up giving us 6 cents. It was programmed over time. It didn't come in on year one. So it was 2020 before it was fully implemented. And we did not get indexing, but we got the full list of projects, right? So you have to look at all those things together. We're not saying we're not going to do those projects, but the truth is we got 93 in the 10-year plan with what we can afford. Not another 800 still exist. So you can do the quick math. We got about 10% of the identified needs in 10 years. So the 10-year plan is just that. It's a plan. It's not a guaranteed layout. It's the way we see going forward. But we can continue to discuss what's happening in the back half of that to some degree. But again, all projects are in competition to get that funding. So it's the priorities, right, that we're all in. We're trying to spread the peanut butter across the state the best we can. Give everybody their fair share. I know when we look at needs, everybody has needs. All these projects are real projects. They're needed in all communities. But one could easily make an argument that we spend every bit of the state's money in Nashville. That's how fast it's growing, right? TDOT is absolutely not doing that. That was part of what the TMA was about, was getting these P3 opportunities out there to be able to take care of congestion in the big urban areas and not have to spend so much of our normal transportation funding in those areas and be able to spread it around the state. So that was a big goal of what was going on in the TMA. But that's just the short truth of where we're at with funding, right? I mean, we did get an extra 6 cents in the Improve Act. All those projects are still there. We want to do them. We want to partner with communities and get them done. But it's going to take time. There's not a committed time frame. I'll say it that way.
Does Improve Act projects get priority?
Um,
Because I just heard all projects are in competition, and I get that.
Yeah,
but I'm just
yeah.
curious if they're.
To date, if you look at the 10-year plan, the projects that we're spending our normal transportation dollars on I would go back and check that, but I'm pretty sure is all Improve Act projects. We have TMA money, which was general fund transfer money outside of the Improve Act, which was an extra $3 billion that we use most of that money, not most of it, but some of that money in concert with communities bringing money to the table for partnership projects.
And this is not unique to us. I mean, it's statewide. So
Yes, absolutely.
Other questions?
Did Troy answer all your questions on all the projects we had on the list?
We've got, I said Michael Dick's here too, if you have construction questions on 93 that's under construction right now.
Yeah, another section 93, the 03, I think you got listed on there.
Mhm.
We anticipate going to construction on that one in August. We're tying up the last bit of right of way issues on it. Should be good to go for August. 126, the 03 section. We were asked about right of way a few minutes ago. I know it was a 270 tracks, ton of relocations. I know we're north of 200 being complete. We've been focusing on the area of the 03. A portion of that 270 bleeds out into the between Briarwood and Cooks Valley. So we'll continue that right of way work, and that project to be sitting there, right away done, just waiting construction funding to finish getting out that far. But that was a huge right of way lift in my time at TDOT. That's the biggest amount of right of way on one project that we've had to deal with. It's been quite an undertaking, just to be honest about it, but we're about to see that through to the end. Let's see. Yeah.
How are we looking on Project Smoking? I just want to say.
That one was completed, last month. I think the city, just accepted it, so we'll wait to do our final inspection, which should be here in the next couple of weeks.
That's it for the projects or? Um, I'll go back and for federal highway, Zach put in the chat box. May 16th is the Safe Streets and Roads for All Planning and Demonstration Grant. So there's a deadline for the planning and demonstration grants. May 16th is also the deadline for the implementation grant applications, and that's the final deadline for implementation grants. And then August 29th, there's another deadline for Safe Streets and Roads for All planning and demonstration grants, not implementation, just the planning and demonstration. And that's the final deadline. And then as Troy mentioned, the June 17th for the active transportation infrastructure investment program. And if there's any questions, we just let Zach know and he'll get those answered. Matt, do you have anything for the board? We're talking afterwards. I guess just local project updates.
Main Street continues. We're doing cement treated subgrade. We should have that completed in the phase 1 area that ends at Cherokee Street by the end of this week. We've also started utility work on the west end of the project and have the water line done on the first 2 blocks of that section. We should be to binder with curbs and sidewalks, presentable area before 4th of July in the section 1, and then they'll move into full road closures in the section at the old cats there at Clay, from Clay to Shelby is where they're going to move next. They're trying to make sure everything's safe for the red, white, and boom, and we're not messing up that area any more than we have to with the concert series. West End Greenbelt, there's the consultants doing plan revisions to submit right-of-way plans. The PED Bridge at Brickyard Park is still in the latter phases of the NEPA process with some rewrites. Island Road is in a holding pattern right now. Let's see. Resurfacing Group 1, we're hoping to any day now get notice to proceed with construction on that one. Group 2, I think we're waiting on a contract for that one still. The SIA is the only other one that I think here but it's had some redesign, and I can't remember the whole PDN nomenclature, but it's done some redesign, and they're having a line and grade meeting soon to they had to go back and do some resurveying, but that's been done, and they're so hopefully by September we'll be to a contract, and that's an extra step where everybody's agreed on all the processes, all the scope and impacts, and they can start the NEPA document on that, and it kind of runs parallel. I don't know if it's a different process. If y'all were interested in it, we'll have one of the experts over here at TDOT explain it, because I can't. But that's all I have, unless there's questions.
Okay, any other items before us this time?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.